Hello, hello, hello. Yep, subtitles are working. Hello, JC Darcy. Yes, hollows. Yes, yes, yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Fiona. I use she, her pronouns, and this is Too Long Didn't Read Tabletop RPGs, an accountability reading along stream in which me, go through a quick start on an RPG that I found interesting in the last couple of days. Just interesting in general, and I've just decided to look at it, and we're going to spend an hour or two reading through it as much as we can, discussing what we like about it, what we think, if anything, could be improved, because I'm not a game designer, and anything to do with accessibility. Hello. This wasn't supposed to happen today. I think I mentioned yesterday in yesterday's stream, the end of it, that might have to move this particular stream because my stuff from all the grey across the pond was either arriving last night or this morning. No, it was last night. Let me tell you, there's nothing more exhilarating to get the heart pumping than at 5 to 8 getting a phone call going, I'm outside with all of your stuff, and then having an 18-wheeler be stuck in your little suburban cul-de-sac. So, yeah, anyway, all my RPG books have arrived. It's very exciting. They're all downstairs in a basically, I did a big picture to my family, and I went, behold, my stuff! Just boxes and boxes and boxes. So it's nice. I have more clothes. I have my physical RPG books. I have all my improv books. So I will be definitely spending the weekend unpacking them as well. So that 18-wheeler belongs to you now, right? Well, you joke. I did take a picture of it, and I sent it to our friend Liz Campbell, and I said, I don't... What the odds of it getting out? Because it kind of got stuck on the green. And Liz this morning in her message to me was like, so that's yours now, right? That's how it works, I believe. Yes, finders keepers, the rules of US law. I mean, the unwritten rule, the schoolyard rule, and also unwritten rule in the American Constitution. See, Liz gets it. I know, right? Yes, so anyway, but it meant that we could do this stream today, which is very, very exciting. I'm very pleased because I was looking forward to this indeed. So yes, today, folks, we are looking at Hollows, a new RPG coming out from our good friends, our wonderful friends at Rowan Rook and Descartes. Not the Hollows, as I've been referring to it in all of my notes for since I first got it. No, Hollows. It is just called Hollows. I'm going to look at the Quickstart today, which is freely available for you to look at. If you go to that backer kit link, which again we're going to look at the backer kit anyway as part of our analysis, you can get a free Quickstart now that you can take home and play. We're also going to look at some of the other stuff that comes with the Quickstart, certainly on their resources, which people might be interested to do, because it's a very unusual RPG. Now, before we go into it, as always, I've not seen this RPG before. I've obviously seen little bits online. I know it's absolutely smashed all of its goals so far. It's like doubled the amount of what it was supposed to get, which is very exciting. It's only been a week, I believe, since we had the Kickstarter, so that's very exciting. But I don't know anything about it, so I'm going in kind of completely fresh, which is quite nice. Obviously not sponsored by Rowan Rook and Descartes. I've played so many of their games. I'm a big fan of their work because they do lots of different stories, and I just find them really interesting. And again, we'll go into a little bit of history about it as well. I have interviewed them for Where a long, long time ago, but that's about as much as sort of like bias, if we could call these streams biased, we'll go into. And also content warnings. I don't know what this is going to contain. I will be honest, from the images, it looks pretty doom and gloom and grubby, and I'm all for that. Yes, excellent. But your mileage may vary, so if you need to take a moment to take away from the stream itself, please feel free to do so. Your health is important, etc. And also, all my opinions are my own, which I know seems silly, but I'm not a game designer. I've run a lot of games. I've run 2 RPG-related podcasts, and so any views of what I think could be improved or things that I like, etc., they're just me. Don't come for me if I get a rule wrong, because rules are meant to be broken. But also, again, this is a quick start. This is just a little snippet of the game we're going to be looking at. So I am first of all going to make sure that I'm on the right tab before anything else happens. I wasn't on the right tab, so I need to check. And then we're going to go over to the Hollows backer kit. So yeah, this is where you can get it. I'm going to put it in for good measures so that people can have a look at it. So yes, we can see, yeah, backer kit, they're using backer kit now rather than a Kickstarter, which is fair enough. And we're going to read through it. So yeah, Hollows, the tabletop RPG boss fights done right, which is very exciting. Plunge into the nightmare realms of Hollows and slay other people's personal demons. Hollows' unique tactical combat system allows for dynamic positioning and tactical gambits and makes combat spectacular. Now that's really interesting because, again, a lot of the RPGs that I've covered on this channel before mostly have been sort of a narrative sense, etc. I am not the biggest fan of combat. I will say D&D combat gives me a massive ick, and I hate running it. It's got better obviously through practice, and I will say I do appreciate D&D Beyond's encounter like clock and builder. It was great. But yes, I'm already a bit like, ooh. So yeah, I instantly I'm like, ooh, is this sort of a game for me? But I'm always excited to see what what can we do? How can we actually do combat differently or right, so to speak? First thing I'm going to do though, I am going to zoom in a little bit because I know this is more back of kit than anything else, but good god, that's tiny writing even on my big screen. So let's do the enhance. You can also see what I've backed. Yes, I did back the PDF. So what is Hollow? So a long time ago, something very bad happened to you. Now, you're something very bad that happens to other people. You're a hunter. Today, you hunt. Gotta be careful when you say that last line for sure. I like that though. Nice, simplistic, evocative. Great writing there. Hollows is a new tabletop role-playing game from the team who brought you Spire, Heart, Die, and Eat the Right. Some cracking games, which I think we've looked at Spire, we've looked at Heart, and we've looked at Die as well. Like the quick starts for them, so that's quite exciting. Have we looked at Die? I think we did a little bit of that. Hello, Hogan. Hello, my friend. How are you doing? Oh well, first of all, hang on. Wait. So you asked me to show you a picture of my D&D castle thing. I'm gonna do that. Apologies. Ooh, it's there. It's there. It's bloody massive. We need to. We were saying before about the actual shelving stuff. We need to find them for the back of this, but we need to find something that's enough to hold that monster essentially. So there you go. So it wasn't. I would take a proper picture of it, but it's quite big. Also, you got to see my messy desk there as well. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Hope you're doing well. And thank you for your tour of your art studio / not lab. I was going to say like garage and stuff. That's really exciting. I always find it really interesting to see what other people's doing. Hey, Dan. Hey, painting and lurking. Oh, what are you painting, Dan? So are you back onto your you got back into your Warhammer minis? It's huge. I love it. Yes, no, I love it too. It's so much details on the D&D castle. It's very exciting. Anyway, apologies. Let's get back to Hollows, what we were actually on. So yeah, so we've done Spire, Heart, and I think we've done Die in these tabletop RPGs before. Some Warhammers. Excellent. Well, I hope to see pictures of them. Eat the Right is on my list. I'd love to look at Eat the Right. So if you already know Rowan Rook and the card games, you'll recognise the characteristic intensity and clever storytelling. This time we're combining it with a really clever tactical combat engine that delivers the best boss fights in tabletop role-playing games. If you don't know us, welcome. If you like dark fantasy with just a little crack of hope, or if you're a Soulsborne fan, or you want to do some climactic tabletop RPG battles better, read on. Nice. I will say, I am not a Soulsborne fan. I'm not a big fan of Elden Rings or anything like that. I'm just not a fan of roguelike games. I just find it tedious, because I'm like, I don't get it. The lore stuff, love that sort of stuff, so yeah. Anyway. And alternatively, if you can't wait to give Hollows a try, click on the image below, so this image here, for a quick start of the Sins of Grisham's Prairie. It will give you all the rules, pre-made hunters, and horrible entities you need for a few sessions of glorious violence. Great, fantastic. So yeah, we can, again, I will let you guys read this about the lore itself, the idea of factions, the Isles. Yeah, it definitely does have that Elden Ring, maybe a little bit of Diablo sort of sense to it as well. Look, and also the cracking artwork, right? Wow, the teeth, so many teeth. Love that. And the imagery of the different kind of hunters you can have is very exciting. So yeah, we will go right into it there. And yeah, this is what it looks like. Again, these are all the preview images I've seen, which do intrigue me. Is this more likely to be an in-person game rather than an online game? And I know that's not true because if I go to the resources page on the Rowan Rook and Descartes site, I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see it. So not only is this where you can also get a link to the backer kit, the quick start here as well, there is a tabletop simulator mod, which is quite exciting, both for the quick start and for just like generally just trying it out and playtesting, as well as a rules glossary, which you can look at. It's just here, which is an ongoing process. You can see Maz, the glorious Maz doing their edits or suggestions and stuff. So that's quite good as well. I love the fact that we can see a ongoing record of like what do we need in terms of glossaries. I think that's really important as well, and be able to identify stuff. And as you see, it's not completely finished, but it's quite nice to see. And also you can suggest stuff if you're logged in. But that's quite exciting. But yeah, so you can. Oops, sorry, that was me looking at. There are other game systems as well. So yeah, if you've seen anything with the resistance system, let me move over a little bit. The resistance system, which is what Spire and Heart is run on. Die, the RPG, we've talked about it before, that sort of Kieran Gillen's Gothic Jumanji, but using RPGs. They got the one-page one-shots, which obviously the, like Honey Heist, all that sort of thing. And a couple of other games here. Eat the Right down at the bottom. There's some standalone games as well. But yeah, so there's always something for everyone with Rowan Rook Card, which I absolutely love. And their new website is fabulous. I really like it. One thing I would say, I am going to go back to it, I promise. Merchandise. They don't really have too much in terms of merchandise just now, which is a shame. But they do have these glorious maps of Spire and Under Spire, which is great. And they've got some really nice pins as well. So if you want to check them out, I'd recommend it. I was definitely tempted to go get a one of these maps and put it behind me. So it's so detailed, so beautiful. Yeah, you can get a double one there. Right, anyway, sorry. Distraction over. But yeah, so you can get mods to play it online, which I guess it's it. I did not see this merch at UKGE. Well, I think they're pushing Eat the Reich just now. Certainly the merch of the pins, that's from Heart, the Deep Apiarist, and the Spire maps. They're not being pushed as much, but these are available on their website for sure. I think Eat the Reich is their new one, and as is Die, and obviously Hollows, which is coming as well. They're not pushing the Resistance system too much as well. Ah, Sakaya, hello! Oh, those maps are lit, absolutely. Nightbot? Oh, what's Nightbot up to? Yes, the maps are beautiful. You know what? Tell you what. Let me actually go into them so you can actually see a proper view of them there. Again, as this, I can move it. It's again a bit pixelated, but you can see all the different layers. I always love maps that have like a side profile and then like a full one underneath. It's really really cool. Anyway, like I said, that's not the point of the stream. I mean, go check out all their stuff, obviously. As I was saying, you can play this online, and the fact they've got a tabletop simulator mod for it, I think is great, actually. It's really nice to have. I was saying before, like, what can you, if you're creating a quick start for your game, what should you include? We've seen the stuff before, like, you know, obviously film fillable, character sheets, separate character sheets, so you don't have to, like, split up the PDF per se. Music, a free map that people can see and write on. Like, I think to date, our Cryptic Creats read through, we saw like all the different things for it, and in terms of accessibility, one of the better ones for it. But yeah, what if you needed, if you're trying to show stuff that's physically, you know, you have to do it in front of you, having a tabletop simulator mod, great. Again, a lot of work would have gone into that, and that is for free, sort of. So that's quite exciting to see. Anyway, with all that out of the way, and this again, like I said, this is what it looks like in person. Some of the mock-up pictures there, which is interesting. So yeah, Dark Souls, I can see there, sort of trying to emulate these images. And I know recently, I won't play it, but yeah, there's a gameplay trailer. So they actually did like an in-person recording with, I believe, Grant and another member of the Hollows team went and like did some like filming and then put this trailer together. I will say I do love trailers that have like get people excited like this, that aren't necessarily like, hey, please support us on Kickstarter. Like, I don't know, it's something evocative and immersive about it, and it will last on the internet forever. So I think it's sort of timeless in that sense. Yeah, and then here's some of the other stuff, like you get special editions, you get a components kit as well if you're backing it at a higher level. But all the physical stuff, which looks pretty neat, doesn't it? I quite like it. I quite like the simplisticness of it, and it's not. Yeah, I don't know, and I can see some bullets at the back there. Anyway, with all that out of the way, let's actually go and look at this quick starter as well. So I'm just going to pop it up on my screen, and then I'm going to get rid of this. Gods, I want this so bad. I will say, yeah, just to let people know that this is not going to be officially out till the second quarter of 2025, which is a long time away, right? It's and if I go back to the back kit for a second, like it's got a long lead time to it, and again, this is what they're working on. And I know they've been playtesting as well for over the last year as well, because that's why they sort of paused their one-page one-shots that they were doing over the year. If I go back up, so like already they've beat their goal by like 100%, and it's still growing, and we've still got 21 days left as well, which is exciting. And the other thing I'd say as well, if you follow them, if you back it, whatever, you'll get notifications when they're playing through the Hollows, certainly the Quickstart with the team itself, which is quite interesting to look at, obviously having Grant run the game as well. The actual play, variable, I think. That's okay. Like, again, it's always nice to see game designers run their own games and then maybe talk through, comment on like what they were thinking, etc., and getting people to play it. So I'm always a big fan of that, personally. Stretch goals, other people writing for stuff. They've got a whole thing about the team here. I wanted to get the timeline. There you go. The timeline itself. The design is going to be finished later this month, hopefully. Then they've got editing and layout in the first quarter, though. So we've got a big gap. So there must be something else that's happening for Runga Card. And then, yeah, like I said, digital core book and collection release second quarter. And then the physical copy is third quarter of next year, which is a long lead time. So that's, again, thinking about like delays we've had with Kickstarters and stuff like that, shipping around the world, the variable shipping costs in terms of customs, etc. So it makes sense that they want to like put a hard deadline on things. I feel that's a really long time if the design and playtesting stuff is supposedly finished at the end of the month. But again, what do I know? Absolutely nothing. Anyway, let's go straight into this quick start, because I appreciate I've gabbled enough about thoughts about that. Oh, turn them off. There we go. So this is, as I said, the quick start. It is a obviously going to give us the rules and stuff like that, and then half of it is the sins of the Grisham Priory. As always, we're not going to look at the actual scenario, because I know people will be like, I want to play it, or maybe run it myself, which is absolutely fine. Our aim is to look through this RPG, like look at the rules, and this is something that makes us excited. Is there anything that we want to suggest out of as maybe playtest stuff? So first of all, what a cracking image! I love this sort of thing. This almost like postcard-esque. Look at the skull in the crowd, in the clouds there, or the face in the clouds. Also, like spiderweb, maybe cracked glass going on there with the hunter in the center. I can't remember the name. I'm sure chat will remind me. There's that famous portrait of someone like stood on a rock with the mist behind them, like a red headed bloke, and it's basically that sort of image of someone stood looking back or looking into the mist, etc. That pose is used pretty much everywhere for something like Hamlet. I know there was a David Tennant poster with the same sort of thing. This as well, you can see someone looking into the distance with a horrible thing. Like, it's such an iconic positioning. It's almost like the same level as the Scream, that sort of thing. And so I'm always like, I know where that inspiration's come from. I also love this sort of the hollows, like sort of it's actually different, isn't it? The logo here, the quick start's different. The evil face in the clouds. Damn, yeah, I know. Terrifying. I love stuff like that. So almost like a hidden detail that you might not see. But yeah, so we've got the hollow. So that's a different logo to what we have on the thing. Sorry, I'm gonna be constantly going back and forth. So that's the logo, I'm guessing, for that's the finalized logo for it, which I much prefer. Look, actually, look, that's a skull underneath, got the teeth as well. So I like that. I definitely like that compared to back to it. Compared to this sort of quick start one up here. Again, yeah, it's not as it's okay, but it's definitely like a placeholder thing. I love this font though. This. Oh no! What have I done? Oh, I've done something. Okay, that was weird. I shut everything down briefly. I was like, ah! Really, this evil face that's done it. Right. I love the colours of the orange and the yellows. They sort of work really well on this black background. So that's quite good. All right. Let me zoom out and we'll go to the next page. So this whole quick start itself, is 58 pages. And roughly half of them are the core rules, and then the rest of it is the scenario and the pre-generated characters. Yeah, so we've got the first print. Yeah, so this is all the development stuff, which is great. These links don't work, which is okay. I mean, whatever. Yeah, I love this at the top here. So we've got an introduction. Oh, it is hyperlinked. That's quite good. I click on, yeah, hyperlinked. Good job on there. So we've got introduction and the core rules, and then it goes over to the Grisham Priory, which I can already see there's content warnings for it. Good job. What next? So presumably we might look at that. They might just say like, you know what? It's probably saying what next after the quick start, right? It looks like actually even breaking it down. There's like 7 rooms perhaps, and then some stat blocks for the monsters. That's pretty good. And handouts as well, so the different characters as well. So that's great. And then the cheat sheet, always good, and the grid itself. So that grid that they had earlier, nice. But yeah, so like I said, we're going to look through the first 25 pages, talk about the core rules and the introduction, and talk about stuff from there. I'll say, yeah, we've got the background, that sort of texture on it as well. A bit grimy in places, which I love. But yeah, it's almost like textured paper. You see? I like that. introduction. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. All right. So, in the wretched dimensional backwaters, vicious creatures stalk the blasted landscape and spread sickness, light, and madness throughout the wider world. Born of torment and trauma, these entities are a sickness and a stain on the land. You, scarred with your own darkness, hunt these monsters. Hollows is a tactical combat role-playing game about slaying other people's personal demons with malevolent weapons and revel in the cursed joy of the hunt. This quick start is intended to give you a taste of the full game by pitching you headlong into a hollow, decrepit maze of greed and hunger known as Grisham Priory. Here, you will explore a desolate garden temple complex, meet with the broken and dangerous people trapped inside, and destroy the monstrous entities that rule this rotten place. No alt text. Just checking, just in case. What? Kind of terrifying, this sort of like the grimness, almost industrial way of it, which again, maybe I don't necessarily associate with like grim dark fantasy per se. Me personally. Ooh, QR code? How exciting. So, sorry, I zoomed in a bit too hard. Let's move this a little bit so you guys can have a good read. Alright. Firstly, you'll need to get some friends together. Oh, what if I don't have any friends? Most of you will be playing hunters. One of you will be taking on the role of the game master or GM. Oh, come on, give us a cool title! Call us the Hollows Master or something, please! Who's in charge of running the game and steering the story. If you're reading this, odds are that you'll be the game master. That's how these things normally shake out. It is unfortunately true. If you're meeting up in person to play this game, you need a copy, print, and be prepared to tear out several pages of this document. We've got the character sheets, the token sheet, and the tactical grid at the back. If you want to be old-fashioned, you can glue the token sheet to a piece of card and cut out tokens. Otherwise, you can use the paper and find in stand-ins from things you already own. Things like coins, dice, poker chips, toy soldiers, and spare infant teeth all work fine. Guys. As long as you're consistent with what each type of item represents. Each player will also need a pen or pencil and two 20-sided dice, also known as D20s. And if you don't have access to dice, you can find plenty of dice rolling applications online for free. If you're playing online, there's a downloadable asset pack available, which includes form-fillable versions of the character sheets, nice, and a large tactical grid image that you can use within your own play tool of choice. At the time of writing, we're working on a tabletop simulator integration to help you make play streamlined and seamless, as well as with other BTT integrations. The latest info on this will always be available at Rowan Rook and Descartes' Hollow Resources. Not a link. Okay. If you enjoyed this quick start, scan the QR code or go to Rowan Rook and Descartes' Hollows to learn more and buy the full game. So that's good. Again, sort of backwards, not backwards compatibility, but like if someone read this later, I want to know, they can easily get there. So safety tools. Hollows is a grim and unpleasant game, and it deals with the themes of trauma, violence, death, and abuse. All the players at the table have a responsibility to make the game fun and safe for everyone. To make this as easy as possible, we recommend that you use safety tools that work for your table. We've listed some here that we have used ourselves. You shouldn't feel that you need to use all of these, and if there are other tools your game prefers, goes with what works well for you. The most important thing is that when you sit down to play together, you agree to play safely and look out for each other, and provide some structure to support that socially. No detail or event in the fiction of the game is more important than the player's comfort and safety. Nice. That's all it takes, right? Literally a paragraph like that, and then some examples of safety tools. It doesn't take up much, and yet some games do not have it. I'm just going to read what's it. As part of the core crowdfunding campaign, we'll be creating a custom set of tokens which you'll be able to buy alongside the core book. If you'd like to create your own tokens, here's what you need, with some notes on how we made this work. Oh, that's quite nice. I like that. Print out the tactical grid system, so make this A3. And then an alternative for the US version, I see. Player tokens, which 28mm minis, chess pieces or meeples. 20 threat tokens, glass drops and wooden cubes. 2 different kinds of terrain tokens, at least 4 each. We use poker chips. At least 1 curse token per player, so we use instead of dice. Entity token, we use chess pieces or crystals. A bleeding token for the knife, we use coins. 2 ready tokens for the armorer, coins. A loaded token for the shotgun, coins. 1 focus, use pennies, paper clips, etc. Oh my god, resource and wound tokens for each player. Tiddlywinks, spin down 20 d20s. Right, god, that's a lot of stuff though. A lot of extra equipment and elements for it. It feels more like a board game with all these elements. Like, I guess with the full crowdfunder, obviously you're going to get components, but like, a lot to it. Again, I guess it makes sense because you're doing physical stuff, but like, it sounds like we're never going to be doing theatre of the mind, so to speak, with this game. Lines and Veils, we know kind of what this is, so we're just going to move past that for a second. Oh, it's nice that they've got a credit as well. We're first established by Ron Edwards. It'd be nice to have a link to it, but that's okay. X card, of course. And then a link. I would make it a little bit maybe more in bold, perhaps. I feel like you don't see the credit to where it is. And also, maybe I'd put that what it is, who credited it. Like put it here in the titles, like the X card by John Stavropoulos. Oh, I can't say their name unfortunately, but like. Lines and Veils, Ron Edwards, you know. Some things you can't remove. If a player establishes something like giant monsters, tactical combat, or thinly veiled analogies of Victorian Britain as lines, you may have a hard time running the hollows as intended. Most lines and veils can be incorporated into the game without much incident, but if the core elements of the game upset a player, they might be better off playing a different one. Talk to each other and work out what's best for everyone involved. I think you, as a GM for this game, setting their expectations. So yeah, it's saying like, in this game, is going to feature giant monsters, tactical combat, analogies of Victorian Britain. Like, like get the themes. What's the themes of the game coming out? You know, that's why you put it here. Got the traffic light system, which is good. Yeah. So okay. So 3 different. Does it say? Oh, it's adapted from the BDSM. I did not know that. How exciting. Okay. So yeah, 3 different kinds of. 3 different kinds of safety tools, which is good. And again, you can always add some more, or use them all, or none of those ones per se, but use yours. I'm a very big fan of people recommending them, certainly very towards the beginning of the game. So, the world of Hollows, the Isles, the kingdom, the domain, the royal motherland, is where the hunters live. The Isles are a once powerful group of countries allied together under a bickering royal family, and a parliament hungry for civil war. Struggling in the death throes of their empire, citizens sift through the industrial ruins and overgrown wilderness of their once great country in search of meaning. Malignancies. In the shadowed spaces beyond the real, vast and wrecked things pick at the stitches of the world things pick at the stitches of the world in search of sustenance. These creatures, neither god nor devil, barely conscious, a rolling fever dream of want made manifest, are malignancies. And they control the Isles for 1,000 dark and wicked promises of power. Ooh, it's almost like warlock patrons sort of thing. I like that idea. They want made manifest. Ooh, horrible. Ooh. Hollows. If enough torment and hideousness are laid upon a person, malignancy plants the seed of a hollow within them, and that seed will one day grow and burst into a cursed otherworld. Within the hollow's boundaries, the world is twisted into violent and unsettling shapes. Hollows lie adjacent to the real world and are invisible to all but the most sin-stained and devastated. But the existence of a hollow bleeds through the veil and causes sickness, madness, and death. Entities. Whilst each hollow is home to a host of inhabitants, the most dangerous creatures within are entities, great beasts that carry the weight of spite, grief, and shame upon them, and visit campaigns of violence and death on their neighbours. Some are mechanical monsters made of screeching metal and uncanny clockwork. Others are flesh, and blood-broken, remade into strange forms. Others are still semi-spectral, or garishly beautiful, or even a mob of individuals acting with a single grim intent. It is these entities that hold the majority of the magical essence within a hollow, and usually most of the authority as well. Lords. Each hollow centers on a particularly powerful entity, a lord, the origin of the trauma that grew cancerous and spread between realities. They are guarded, sometimes challenged by vassals, lesser entities within the hollows, or the hollow, but still formidable beasts. The only surefire way of closing a hollow is to kill the lord, severing the link that sustains the environment. But all the guns and soldiers in the Isles are worthless against the lord and their vassals, for normal people cannot enter the hollow to bring them to bear. Hunters. Let me move it across a little bit more so you guys can see. There we go. Hunters are not normal people. Hunters carry the ungerminated seed of a hollow within their souls. Oh, gross. With some arcane tricks and metaphysical guesswork, they can kick in the back doors of these personal hells and walk in like they own the place. Refusing to give in to the malignancy makes them tougher, faster, and more powerful. Their injuries heal in hours, not months. By anointing themselves with the blood of fallen entities, they can nourish the seed and become ever stronger and even more damned. Hunters carry weapons, uncanny instruments that peruse reality with their very existence. Oh, great sentence. Uncanny instruments that peruse reality with their very existence. Blades that beg to break through joint and sinew. Guns that buck against their holsters. Blood-stained bludgeons cracking bone and stone alike. Tools of terror that can rend a entity asunder. The weapons whisper, "You are great. You are terrible. You are righteous. You are enough." Hunters cannot die, not like regular folks are allowed to. If they are killed in battle, they awake soon after, unharmed. Each death empowers the seed within them, and every hunter knows that eventually that blight will blossom and they will become lord of their own personal hollow. The longer it takes, the worse the hollow will be. You are a hunter. Whoa, love it. Hate it, love it. Let's move back a little bit so you guys can see. So how Hollows works. Much of Hollows takes place as an unstructured conversation between the players and the game master, but when it's exciting to introduce a random element, players roll dice to determine the outcome of their actions. So when you roll a d20 to resolve an action, you'll compare the result to two numbers: the stat you're using to make the roll, which is on page 7, and the target number. If the action doesn't state which stat to use, determine the correct one with the GM. The GM will know or make up the target number. In the combat, the target number is the same as the relevant defense stat of the entity that the hunters are currently fighting. When exploring, the target number, is usually defined by the hazard or crawl the hunters are trying to get past. So, I see. So we have here these outcome tables. So under the I see. So under the target number is a success. Match or beat the target number. Oh, I see the stat. Right, I understand. So there's the stat and then the target number. Right, so if we take that first one. So yeah, under the stat, say, I don't know, it had to be under 5. And it was under 5, that is a success. If it's a 5, beats the target number, but it's still under the stat. Oh, I see. There's two different numbers, right? If it's equal to the stat, it's critical success, but over the stat, and then 20 is critical fail. Okay. Alright. Interesting. The mechanic and the steps to success are the same regardless of whether you're exploring, fighting, defending yourself, or doing any other action. The stakes will be different in different situations. If the mechanical details aren't specified in the rules, work with the GM to apply the result to your situation. You are told to roll with advantage, roll 2d20s, and choose whichever result you prefer to resolve the action. Ooh, okay, so I see. So it doesn't have to be the lower one, which I guess would be right, because I guess if you've got to equal the stat as well. You're told to roll with disadvantage, roll 2d20s, and the GM can choose either result. Advantage or disadvantage counterlates out and should never be rolling more than 2d20s to resolve a single action. Later in this book, we're going to go into more detail about what each result means in specific situations, such as attacking, defending, exploring, and more. Not all actions have outcomes listed for every dice result. We encourage the game master to use their judgment and to create a fun experience for everyone present by making their own rulings in response to their actions. Okay, let's see what it says here. Blackjack rules. Rolling in hollows works a little bit like card game Blackjack. You're aiming to roll as close to your stat value as possible rather than simply trying to roll especially high or especially low. This means that each roll has a different target numbers, and it can be a bit tricky for new players to wrap their heads around at first. It can help if you explicitly say what you are aiming for when you start the roll. Just to make things clear, if the target number on the roll is higher than your stat, you aren't able to roll a superior success. You can still get a critical success though if you're lucky. Right. Okay. Glossary. The full rules glossary will be available online, updated with the latest rules and any errata. So yeah, that's what the there's a link there. How exciting! I'm going to click on it just in case and see where we go. It is that Word document. Excellent. That's really good. All right. Back we go a little bit. There are 5 pre-generated characters to choose from in this quick start. Feel free to call your hunter whatever you like, or stick with the descriptive titles we've given. Each character sheet breaks down as follows. We have the description, so each hunter has a brief paragraph describing their outlook, motivations, and behavior. Change this entirely if you want, it is just a suggestion. Play X if you want to. These 3 bullet points that summarize the hunter's role in combat, whether they're a damage dealer or a support character, a precision shooter, or a wild brawler, etc. I like that sort of thing. I really like that on pre-generated characters, or when you're getting character classes in general. I think it's like, play this if you want to, if you like, if you want to protect nature, if you want to be a druid, that sort of thing. I mean, that's a very simplistic version of it, but like, I love stuff like that because, oh yeah, because it just summarizes it very quickly. I want to play that kind of person in my game, great. And then you can look at the character sheet rather than have to work out the character sheet and go, oh yeah, I want to play this, or I'm not so sure about this. Background. The hunter's background offers details on who they were before they chose this life. The Isles is a big place, and hunters arise from all sorts of origins. When you act in accordance with your background during the exploration phase, you'll roll with advantage. Okay. Statistics. There are 5 statistics, here are after called stats, thank God, that govern your performance in Hollows. No stat can be increased above a 19. Human average is 7, but hunters are more and less than human. So we've got strong, hard, quick, sharp, and wise. Strong is a measure of physical fitness and power. Hard is how difficult your character is to hurt and how intimidating they are. Quick is your speed, gracefulness, and ability to get out of the way of attacks. Sharp is your character's situational awareness, insight, and accuracy. Wise is how in tune your character is with science, mysticism, and the ways of the Hollow. I think it would be nice, because I did a little bit of change in like who we're speaking to here. So here we're sort of in like almost like a third person here at the top, right? A measure of physical fitness and power. Obviously, I know that's for the character. And then it goes, your character, then your speed, your character, your character. I think just change it to either your character or your a measure of your physical fitness and power, how difficult it is to hurt you, and how intimidating you are. Your speed, I think you just need to. I know it's such a small thing. I think we'll just shift it so it's all tonally the same thing. Resolve and wounds. In addition to their stats, a hunter also has the 2 main measures of health. You have resolve, which is a measure of stamina, determination, and physical fitness. And then wounds is a measure of how much punishment you can take before your entire body gives up. You see the same thing here as well. A measure of your stamina, your determination, your fitness, how much punishment you can take before your body dies. Again, just to really hammer home like the same tone throughout. A hunter or entity with 0 resolve is broken. If a broken character would suffer resolve damage, they would suffer wound damage instead. Successful attacks against them all use the attack's listed wound damage instead of resolve. If an entity with 0 wounds is dead, a hunter with 0 wounds is dying or dead. Weapons. Each hunter carries 2 weapons, terrible tools of destruction, bound up tight with their melees. Each weapon has a profile which details how much damage it does, and where it can attack from, and what stat it uses to attack entities. We'll find out later on. And then finally, abilities. The rancid energy bubbling within the hollows floods your weapons with power and lets you do things you'd never have imagined. At the start of the game, pick one ability from the list given for each of your weapons. Each time you kill an entity, you gain access to another ability of your choosing. Ooh, is that every time you personally kill an entity, or when all of you kill an entity? I guess that's almost like the leveling up sort of. Ability combinations. The rules in a weapon's ability can be applied to either weapon you wield, unless they state otherwise in their description. So, for example, a sword ability lets you inflict additional damage when you're in the same area as other hunters. Also takes effect when you make attacks with your other weapon. Find interesting and optimal combinations of abilities is part of the fun of playing Hollows. So it is a bit of a min-matchy game, okay. Even if you change the weapons you wield later on during the campaign, you keep any baptized abilities you gain while using them. What does baptized mean? What? Who's emailing me? Excellent. All good. Someone keeps mentioning me. I'm like, what's going on? I'm getting emails for Kickstarters that are shipping. Great. Cool. Sort of characters. We streamlined the characters and rules for this quick start. So there are a few things absent from the character sheets that are important parts of the full game. These include corruption, equipment, and your seed, the awful event that sent you down the path of the hunter, which infects other hunters to remind you of the worst day of your life. Which infects other hollows to remind you of the worst day of your life ever. You can learn more about these and about the hours and the setting of hollows. Oh, what a cracking image! It's the core rules. Look at how beautiful! I love source of light, and then seeing all these candles over here. No alt text. It's fine. I love it though. It's so good. So atmospheric. And like here with the smoke coming up at the top here. Alright, going straight into it. So now we had the primer. Let's talk about combat, shall we? So, the hunt. The hunt is the pinnacle of a hunter's existence. In a world of uncertainty and terror, here they can destroy what stands against them with unrelenting viciousness. Should they be successful, they can drink deep of the curdled and rotten magic in the soul of this place, cleanse the world around them, and grow ever more dangerous. This is the grid. The grid. Reminds me of Tron Legacy there. The grid shows the position of the hunters relative to the entity. The entity never changes positions on the grid. It is always at the center of the fight. Your attention is always focused on the entity, and your position is only important in terms of its location. So what do we have here? Again, it would be nice to have alt text on this in case the image hadn't loaded, but here we've got, in the middle, it says it's like a circle, and then with sort of pie-shaped cuts out of it. So we have, in the center, we have the entity, and then we have, at the top, we've got rear, then we've got right flank, left flank, or flank left, right flank, no, flank right, flank left, and then front. And then we have, in this sort of circle outside of it, the concentric circle outside of it, we've got range left on the left, range front at the bottom, range right on the right. And then in the widest circle around it, we've got support, which goes all the way around, but it just doesn't cover the rear part of it. We only have one section for rear, which is at the top, which is interesting. I wonder why that is. Oh, it's going to describe it here, isn't it? So the grid is divided up into three main sections. We've got close, range, and support. Close are areas next to the entity, and these are front, flank right, flank left, and rear. Ranged areas are more distant, but still close enough to fight. These are range front, range right, range left. These are combat areas arranged so that the left and right are from the player's perspective as they face the entity. Ah, interesting. And then the support area is out of range of the entity's attacks. A hunter in support recovers weapon capacity and resolve at the start of their turn and gains access to the recover and heal maneuvers. Over here on the right, in the little sidebars, there's different rules. Combat feels different at the table to exploration. They use different rules and enable different kinds of play through those. They do share some similarities. Both of them uses your stats to resolve every action. Exploring the Hollow is more abstract and descriptive, and combat is more tactical and challenging. You can't flee a hunt once you face the entity head on. The land outside the lair darkens to pitch black, the doors lock tight, the stairwells vanish, and the yawning voids fill the spaces where the escape routes once ran. The Hollows want this violence, and so did you. Again, very much big boss battle fights. You can't. You better have healed up before you go in. No save skimming here. Just gonna check one thing quickly. No, we're all good. All good. Okay, so actions. There are 3 types of actions. Attacks, which usually involves making some sort of damaging attack against the entity or defending against one. Maneuvers, which are usually support actions. For example, they might involve moving, recovery, using items, or taking cover. And immediate reactions that are instant and can include both damaging and support abilities. Immediate actions almost always triggered by specific conditions, including turn order, grid location, the actions of the entity or of the hunters. Each round, hunters and entities may take either one attack or one attack and a maneuver, or 2 maneuvers on their turn. There is no limit to the number of immediate actions they can take, that either can take, as long as the conditions are met. Okay, so they're a bit like reactions sort of things. Moving on the grid. The move maneuver indicates that a hunter has travelled from one location to another under their own volition. Move the token representing the hunter from their current area to any adjacent area of the player's choosing. The shift keyword on an entity's ability with a hunter target indicates that the entity is moving the hunter by physically hurling them or luring them in with mind tricks, or otherwise changing their positions in a space. Ooh, okay. If a hunter is shifted, move the token representing the hunter from their current area to the area indicated by the ability being used. Threats on page 13 can also be shifted around the grid in the same way by when the hunter moves or is shifted, they discard all terrain tags. Oh, there's tags in this as well. Okay. If they move or shift more than one area, they are considered to be passing through all intervening grid areas for the purpose of any effects that trigger when those areas are entered or left. The reposition keyword usually indicates that the entity has moved rather than the hunter. Move the token representing the hunter from their area to any adjacent area of the GM's choosing, or the area specified by the ability that's being used. The specific rules for an action with the repositioning keyword supersede the need for the area to be adjacent. So, for example, a charge action might reposition a hunter from front to rear, even though those 2 areas aren't adjacent, as the entity runs past or through the hunter. Okay, that's a good example. I didn't get that then. When a hunter is repositioned, they retain all terrain tags. They do not pass through any intervening areas between their starting and final position. That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. If an ability keyword has instructions attached to it, so shift towards forward, reposition away from the entity, shift counterclockwise, then the GM should attempt to fulfill those instructions. If there are none, they can move the token to whatever adjacent area they desire. If the instructions cannot be fulfilled, the GM should adjudicate the outcome themselves. One thing I'd say just off the top, that is a massive bit of text, and it would be nice to have maybe a little bit of a gap, because these are 2 clearly quite important keywords that come up a lot in these abilities, I'm guessing. And yet we've got them in bold. It would be nice to have a bit more of an example. There's an example here which makes sense for the reposition, but there's not so much here for the shifting. And they're 2 very different things. Like, I understand, because obviously the important rule to clearly remind ourselves with is that the entity doesn't move. They stay in the middle, and it's everyone else's pieces shift around. That's fair. It's going to tell us here now as well. Ooh, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So no diagonals. Adjacent areas are, oh my god, knowledge. Like orthogonally. Orthogonally? Ugh. Orthogonally. Oh, I don't even know how you say that. I'm gonna have to look that up afterwards. They're connected, but they don't share in that they share a side. You can't move or shift diagonally. Hmm. Damn. Okay, no diagonals. Okay, I get that. What am I gonna sneeze? Oh, bless me. Excuse me. Lock on target. Getting your head around moving on a grid can be a little tricky at first. It can help if you think about it like a video game. The camera or the grid is locked onto the entity, so they don't move. Your hunters can choose to move in relation to where the entity is, and when the entity moves, that is represented by the repositioning things on the board. Both hunters and entities can shift things around, moving them in relation to everything in play. Yeah, no, it is almost like a fixed camera angle that focuses on the entity. I get that. Okay, that's interesting. I like it. All right, terrain. So during a hunt, hunters can use the environment to shield themselves from harm. On a player's turn, they can use the take cover maneuver to attempt to take advantage of the terrain with a successful roll under the relevant stat. There is a limited number of terrain tags in each fight, and no more than one hunter can claim each terrain tag at once, though two hunters can have the same type of tag. The hunter can have multiple terrain tags at once, but no more than one of each type. When you use the take cover maneuver, choose a terrain tag from the ones available in the terrain pool and place it under your token or on your character sheet. From this point on, until the tag is discarded or destroyed, you benefit from its effects. Roll under the stat listed next to the terrain type you choose. On a success, you suffer no ill effects. On a failure, you choose one of the following. So suffer one resolve damage as you overexert yourself, or place one threat in your area as you draw attention to yourself, or return the terrain tag to the pool. Okay. The tags I guess it's almost like status effects in video games. That's what it's trying to say. Like, difficult terrain, like, you're tired, you're exhausted, or paralyzed, or something like that. I guess, but terrain tags must be something different. It's probably going to tell us. When you attempt to gain the type of tag that a hunter in your area already has, roll with advantage. You can voluntarily discard terrain as an immediate reaction on your turn. When a terrain tag is discarded, return it to the central pool. When it is destroyed, it is not returned to the central pool, instead is removed from play. Okay, here we go. Each entity has the terrain pool for their hunt listed as part of their characteristics. The default terrain pool has 3 elevated and 3 sheltered. Elevated is like towers, gantries, monoliths, and cliffs. Roll strong to claim. Ranged attacks are rolled with advantage. Right, yes, I get that. Sheltered, so ruins, foliage, smoke, and barricades. Roll quick to claim. When an entity inflicts damage on you, you take 1 less damage. Let's see. Setup, Doom, and Terrain Pool. The Hollow doesn't stand still and wait for the hunters to kill it. At the start of a hunt, the GM should check the Doom track. Each entity has a certain changes to stats and abilities which trigger at different Doom thresholds. Oh, almost like Doom clocks, I guess, like we have in Shiver. Everything that's listed at or under the current Doom level takes effect for this fight. Doom is gained and lost by the hunters during the exploration. The GM also builds a pool of terrain tags. The default terrain pool is 3 elevated and 3 sheltered tags, but each entity description specifies the exact mix of terrain used. See page 11, so the previous page on terrain. Turn order. So turn brackets are defined at the start of the hunt. The player rolls sharp with a target number equal to the entity's ranged defense. On a standard success, they may choose to either place their token anywhere on the grid or act before the entity. On a superior success, they may do both. On a critical success, so that's when they equal their stat. They may do both and also take additional maneuver on their first turn. On a failure, they do neither, and the GM places their token on the grid, and they must act after the entity. I like that. Okay, straightforward enough. All players who do not act before the entity will act after it in each round. The players may take their turns in any order within the bracket. After successful players have placed their tokens, the GM places the remaining tokens on the grid and makes note of the turn brackets. Any hunter who chooses to act before the entity goes first, then the entity, and then any remaining users. Each hunter and entity gets 1 turn each before any of them may act against the turn order there. All of these turns are in order are a round. and once one round is complete, the next one begins. Once the turn brackets are decided at the start of combat, they remain the same until the combat ends, but hunters can act any order within the brackets in each round. Right. A hunter or entity can perform an attack and a maneuver in any order on their turn. Both hunters and entities can swap their attack for a second maneuver if they wish. So yeah, we've said that before. That's either, what is it? An attack or a maneuver, or two maneuvers. And then the immediate actions, we can do as many as we want, as long as the triggers for the conditions of them have been met. Okay. Interrupts and immediate reactions. Here we go. So when the rules say a character may perform an immediate reaction, it happens instantly, sometimes outside the normal turn order. Immediate actions do not count towards a character's maximum actions on their turn. An interrupt is an entity action which can only take place at the end of a hunter's turn. Oh, legendary actions then. Okay. Each time a hunter turn ends, the GM may choose to pay any associated cost to trigger one of the entity's interrupt abilities. Using abilities. There are various ways that abilities can be triggered. Some are conditional, some require trigger events or costs to be paid, and others may be used in place of your action or maneuver on your turn. In general, if you fulfill all the requirements to use one of your abilities, you may choose to use it, but you do not have to. Threat. Threat is a measure of an entity's intent, attention, and behavior over the course of a hunt. It is placed on the grid in specific areas and can be placed, manipulated, and spent by both hunters and entities in various ways. Successful hunter attacks generate threat, as do some abilities. GM can spend threat to enhance the entity's attacks and defense, as well as using to trigger interrupt actions. Of like a currency of some sort. Usually, if a hunter uses threat, it will be related to some specific weapon ability. When using the combat grid, physically place threat tokens on the different areas to show how much threat is present. These can be beads, dice, or other tokens that you don't have in the Hollows token box. In this book, whenever the text refers to spending, removing, manipulating threat, this should be represented by the movement of threat on tokens on the board, or on the grid. Sorry. Okay. How are we doing on time? Quite an hour into it. Okay. Resolve and wounds. Resolve is a measure of a hunter or entity's stamina, defensive capability, and spirit. It is easier to remove and restore than wounds. Wounds are a measure of a hunter or entity's toughness, willpower, and survivability. They are harder to remove and restore than resolve, and most entities do not have a way to restore them. Breaking and being broken. So when a hunter or an entity's resolve is 0, they are broken. Whenever an attack against them would inflict resolve damage, it now inflicts listed wound damage instead. If an attack or other source of damage only lists resolve damage and not wounds, then it is no damage against the broken target. Ooh, okay. If an ability calls for a user to mark resolve as an activation cost, the user cannot activate it as if they have no resolve to spend. Yeah, they need the resource to use it. Okay, hunting gear. Oh no, we'll do this. The hunter's turns, we'll go to the hunting gear. So, a hunter's basic attack is an attempt to harm the entity with a weapon. Each weapon form has its own core attack, and the hunters may use whichever they prefer. A weapon's profile dictates what areas it can be used in and what stat is used to determine the attack's success. Weapons also grant access to various abilities, some of which augment their basic attack or provide new ways to attack an entity. These are described and rolled in the same way. As an immediate action in response to being attacked, the entity may spend threat in the attacker's area to increase the relevant defense by 1 for each threat spent until the end of the attacker's turn. Ooh, okay. And this must be spent before the dice are rolled. When you attack, make a roll as described in the basic rules for the D20. You are aiming to roll under your attack stat but over the entity's relevant defense. Resolving the roll would use the table below. If you would inflict wound damage with your weapon, you could choose to inflict resolve damage instead. If you would inflict resolve damage and the entity has no resolve remaining, it is broken. Inflict wound damage value of your weapon instead. Okay, so on this side we have the stat stuff, and then under or match or beat. Oh, I understand vaguely. Okay. So, if we roll under the stat, and we have to roll under the defense, actually that is interesting. you have to roll under your stat no matter what. Otherwise, if you roll over it or get natural 20, that's the only times you guys are going to fail or critically fail. Interesting. So success is that you deal a glancing blow. You inflict resolve damage, as listed on the left side of the divide of your weapon damage, and place one threat in your area. You match or defeat or beat the defense. You have a superior success. If you strike a vulnerable area, you inflict wound damage, and place one threat in your area. And if you equal the stat, critical success. Fortune smiles upon you. You inflict 2 plus of your wound damage. 2 plus your wound damage, and place one threat in the area. And over the stat you fail, you inflict no damage and place no threat. And a critical failure on a 20, you dramatically miss the mark. You inflict no damage and place no threat. There is no additional mechanical consequences for critical failures in combat, but there may be narrative. Hunting gear. So, the full version of Hollows includes rules for hunting equipment such as a spring-loaded traps, flares, vitriol, vitriol, and explosives, all of which are used to trigger with the use maneuver. So yeah, let's have an example here. So a knife-using hunter in front of the entity, with quick 11 attacks the guardian hound, who has a close defense of 9. So here's what the outcome of the die would look like. So a 1 to 8, so under the quick and under the defense is 9. So yes, that's a success. And a 9 to 10 is a superior success because we meet or beat the creature's defense. Get an 11, that's a critical success, and then anything above that is a... Okay, so I'm guessing then all the defenses of the creatures are going to be lower, ideally lower than your thing, because otherwise you will never be able to beat them, or you might need to change weapons. Okay, that makes more sense. Would have liked to have that much earlier, I will say. That was a bit tricky to understand. This is the same thing for the target numbers as well. So if this example would have been very much for me helpful to have it earlier. Okay, hunter maneuvers. You have access to 5 core maneuvers, and you can usually perform one on your turn. If you've rolled a critical success on your setup roll for the hunt, you can also perform an additional maneuver on your first turn. You can also swap actions each turn for a maneuver. So focus is gaining focus up to a maximum of 1. Guard is restoring 2 resolve or attempt to revive a dying hunter in your area. Move is that you travel between 2 adjacent grid areas. Reload. Regain 1 capacity on a weapon you're holding up to its maximum. Take cover, so you claim a terrain tag. And activate an ability or item or power as defined in its description. Okay, support areas and support maneuvers. When you start your turn in the support area, you may restore your weapon's capacity if they have it to their maximum values, and restore 2 resolve. Hunters in the support location, so it's the furthest ring, isn't it? Also have access to additional maneuvers listed below, so recover and heal. So recover is roll hard. Any successes restore 4 resolve or 2 wounds, your choice. On a failure, you still restore 2 resolve. Okay, so even if you fail, you still restore something. I like that. Heal is roll wise. On a success, restore 2 wounds to another hunter in the support area, or restore 1 wound to yourself. On a failure, you restore 1 wound to another hunter in the support area. Okay. Focus. Taking time to steady the mind can pay dividends. As an immediate action, characters can spend focus to roll with advantage on their next roll. In general, a hunter cannot have more than 1 focus. Either you have it or you don't, unless that hunter is carrying a rifle, which means they can store up to 5 focus at any time, or have some other ways to bend this rule. Hunters always start the hunt with 0 focus. The end of the turn and interrupts. At the end of a hunter's turn, and the entity has an opportunity to use an interrupt from its character sheet. Once per hunter turn, GM may use to pay any costs associated with an interrupt in order to use it. This can take place multiple times around after every hunter's turn if the GM so decides and can pay the cost. Yes, that's using the threats. Marking and taking damage. If an ability asks you to mark resolve, and then you may choose to spend resolve. Oh wait, hang on. If an ability asks you to mark resolve, then you may choose to spend resolve if you have it in order to trigger that ability. Yes, okay. You cannot trigger this ability if you have no resolve. If an ability states that you take resolve damage as a cost, however, then The damage does not apply if you do not have resolve to spend. Yeah, that's the result. Entity turns. An entity may take one attack and one maneuver its turn, just like a hunter. Also, like hunters, the GM may choose instead to take 2 maneuvers. And the entity attack. The GM never rolls dice. Thank God for that. Oh. The hunters roll to defend against the attacks. Each attack on an entity sheet has rules text which states its target, difficulty, the stat the hunter uses to avoid the attack, damage dealt, and any special conditions or effects. The GM chooses the entity's attack from a list from the ones listed in their specific rules. Here's one broken down as an example. Oh no, it's using it's this old-fashioned words. No. Okay, no, I know it's fine. I'm guessing. I was going to say, so here on the right here, it's okay. Footnotes. I always assume they're going to be at the bottom of the page from working with academics. They're over here. Okay. The name of this action is Smash. The target type is one hunter in a close area, so the closest spring to them. Must satisfy the conditions first. Target number is 12, and hard is the associated stat with it. Must roll equal to or over the target number, but under the listed stat to avoid all damage. And then we've got the attack dealt as listed as resolve and wounds, so 3 and 2, and then special effects triggered as a result of attack, if any. So if the entity inflicts resolve damage, discard all terrain tags from the target. Okay. My question is, does it, like, do you just get 3 resolve and 2 wounds as a result of this attack if you fail to dodge out the way? Or is it like, I guess it's going to tell us here what we take. Okay. Again, I am used to sort of shorthands of this, but good lord. Oof. Yeah, also, this needs to be underneath it straight away, not off to one side, so we can easily, because just for ease to read. When an entity makes an attack, GM may spend threat tokens in a targeted area to increase the target number of the attack by the amount of threat spent. Threat spent in this way only applies to attacks against the hunters in the area where the threat is seen. So, for example, if an entity attack targets all close areas, and the GM spends 2 threat in the front, this has no effect on the target number of the attack the hunters on the flank fight. Yeah. When you're targeted by an entity attack, make a roll as described in basic rules. Here we go. Here. So if we get under the stat, so in this one, under your hard stat, and under 12, success. You suffer resolve damage. Okay, so it would be that 3 resolve, as you spend energy trying to avoid the worst attack. If you match or beat the target number, still under the stat, you suffer no damage. Superior success. You equal to the stat, you suffer no damage because that's critical success, and then over the stat, you suffer wound damage 2 here as the full force of attack hits you, and then 20 critical failure, you suffer wound damage from the attack, so 2. There's no additional mechanical ill effect from a critical failure unless the GM feels that there's justification for it. An additional detriment, but there may be narrative ones. I feel like there should be something, I don't know, like you gain, if it's critical success you can suffer no damage, but maybe you should gain 1 resolve back. Critical failure, you did like, why have equal to stat or 20 in my head? Like, why would you need them? It feels like you should get something for equaling the stat, certainly for critical success, but like natural 20 should be like, you're slow, you get some other conditions. I don't know. As an immediate reaction in response to an attack, you can spend focus to roll with advantage to defend. Oh, okay, great. So you can use focus to do anything. If you're broken and would suffer resolve damage, you would instead suffer the attack's listed wound damage. You have no energy or power left to avoid the attack. Yeah, so that's okay. I get that. It's taken a while for me to understand that, though, I will say. Oh, you guys cannot see it. Sorry. See it. There we go. Okay. The entity maneuvers. Each entity has its own set of maneuvers, and they all have access to the following 4 as default. They have advance, which is reposition a hunter closer to the entity. Turnaround. All the hunters are close or repositioned clockwise or counterclockwise. Choose one and it applies to all targets. Shrug off. Restore free resolve. Nice. Hunt down. Target all hunters in support. Targets test quick. On any success, they are repositioned to range. On a failure, they are repositioned to front. Ooh, damn. Threat placement. Threat is a measure. Threat is a measure of an entity's intent, attention, and behavior over the course of a hunt. The GM can spend threat in a target area to enhance their attacks and defense. Threat is also the main cost to trigger interrupt actions. Unless specified in the ability text, threat must always be spent from the area that the entity's ability is targeted. Yes. Successful target hunter attacks generate threat, as do some abilities. After the entity has made both their actions, at the end of their turn, the GM first checks whether the current threat on the grid is lower or higher than the threat cap. If it is lower, the GM may place threat equal to the entity's threat per round on the grid, spread across the grid in areas that support, up to the threat cap total. If the threat cap total has been reached, the GM must remove threat over the cap. They must not place additional threat, but they may shift threat up to the cap. Oh, okay. Guess there's a lot of stuff happening. Like, I guess. Okay. I feel like to get the full players, you would have to play this quick start through. I feel like it just feel more like a game of chess, like putting pieces around and stuff, and like really thinking about your positioning stuff. Like, I think it's very cool. But again, I think I'd have to play this through to really get a grasp of all these things. Like the repositioning stuff and the shifting stuff, I've got that. The dice rolling, I finally understood what was going on there. But yeah, I think I'd absolutely have to play a couple of hours of this to understand it fully. Curse. But some entities can corrupt, mark, or otherwise influence the environment through the curse. When an attack says it inflicts curse, place the amount of curse specified on the hunter's character sheet using a six-sided counter or stack of tokens. A hunter, entity, or area cannot have more than 6 curse placed on it at any one time. If additional curse will be placed, it is instead discarded. Curse varieties. The Taylor entity in this book uses curse to punch crimson threads through hunters' bodies. So curse tokens go on the character sheet. Other entities in Hollow's core game can place it on the grid to affect the battlefield or on themselves to gain power. I assume curses are bad. Entity actions outside of their turn. Unlike most hunters, entities have opportunities to act when it isn't their turn. Yes, we've gone over this a few times now. Each hunter turn ends with an opportunity for an interrupt, an entity ability which usually carries a cost to activate or trigger. The GM may choose to spend up to a cost of an interrupt at the end of any hunter's turn. There is no technical restriction on how many times per round an interrupt may trigger, but it may only trigger once per hunter turn. Interrupts do not trigger on the entity. Yes. Again, if people have played D&D, it is like legacy actions, legendary actions. In addition, most entities have abilities which trigger when they are broken, either for the first time or every time. These are immediate actions which take place after the attack, which reduces the entity to 0 resolve. If an entity is broken, it cannot be resolved as a cost to trigger. Okay. Ooh, okay. Here's an example of play. Ooh, a bit of a... Okay. I'm not going to read it out. I feel like it would be helpful for me to read it out, but I'm not going to. Primarily because, look at that big wad of text. I feel that's really impossible to read. I can see there's Max that's playing the agent, who's fighting the Guardian Hound, along with the priest, played by Sam. There's 2 people. And then you got the right stuff like that. Oh no, I'm late. Hello, Fueled by Chaos. Hello, Hamilton. How you doing, my friend? Oh, you're not late. You're right on time. We're just going through the Hollows quick start. That is quite a chunky example of play. I don't know about you guys. I'm finding that very hard to... I mean, I know I've zoomed out to see it all. I'm not going to read it. I feel like it would help me, but like I feel it's just a bit... Again, if it was just moved out a little bit and just maybe like max, like age, like just breaking it up a little bit just to make it easier to read. Also feels like tiny writing. The like even if I zoom in, it's tiny writing. I'm good. I was so interested in hearing about this. Yeah, I think it is interesting. I'm not sure what I make of it just yet, though. I'll read out the beginning of it at least, so we get that. So Max is playing the agent, who is fighting the Guardian Hound along with the priest, who's played by Sam. At the start of combat, they both roll for turn order. Sam rolls against their sharp of 14, and the Hound's range defense of 12. They get a 30. That's higher than the target number of the range defense, but under their stat. So this is a superior success, allowing them to place their target on the grid and act before the end. Okay. Max rolls against their sharp of 11 and the range, but because the target number is higher than that, they can't roll a superior success, but still could roll a critical. Yes, if they roll 11. They get a 15, which is a failure, which means they act after the entity, and the GM places their token. The GM places the agent token in the front. That makes sense. While Sam decides to place their priest token in the left flank. Sam takes their turn first. Priest. I'm going to try and flank the hound and get it on its bad side. I'll use my shotgun's core attack first. That runs off sharp. So Sam flips their loaded token into unloaded to make the attack. They roll a 6, which is below their sharp of 14, but also below the close defense of 11. So there's 2 different defenses. There's a standard success inflicted 2 resolve damage. There's a threat token in their area. Okay, so my bullet grazes the dog's shoulder, forcing it to dodge back a little. I've got its attention. I'll move backwards into range left to get away. The hound can't make its interrupt attack this turn because Sam has moved away from the threat. Ah, so yes, because it uses the threat to use it. Okay. Now that the entity, getting some clipping on your microphone. Oh, okay, that's a bit odd. I don't know. It shouldn't be because I've got. Maybe it's just a little bit too further away from my mouth, perhaps. Let me know, Hamilton, how it goes. What was I saying? So I move backwards. Right. So the dog is still fixated on the priest, so it's going to try to advance on you. That repositions. It's better that you're closer. Yeah, that's what it is then. Okay. It's because I've turned my head away to this to talk about it. So yeah, I'll remember that for next time. That's it. Yeah, I thought so. All right, thanks for that, Ham. What was I going to say? Yeah, the dog is fixated on the priest, so that's going to advance on you. It repositions the priest back to where they were, so into flank left. It bares its teeth and lunges for you, attempting to grab and shake. Roll me defense against your hard. The priest has a hard of 11, and the attack has a target number of 10. Sam rolls a 3, which is a standard success below both numbers, avoiding wound damage but suffers resolve. Okay. Cool. Alright, I think I get the gist of it. It's a little bit crunchy for my taste personally. I do like the idea of repositioning stuff though. But yeah, this play example is a little bit tough to read, even on the black background, the white text on the black background. I could do with it spreading out a little bit for me. Alright, let's go to death, shall we? So death. When an entity has 0 wounds remaining, it dies and the hunters can harvest it grim power through a baptism. When a hunter has 0 wounds remaining, they are dying. Dying hunters can't make an attack or maneuver actions. At the start of each of their turns, a dying hunter must roll under their hard stat. If they fail, so if they roll over, they die and are removed from the tactical grid. If they succeed, they cling to life a little while longer. On a critical success, they revive themselves as below. If attacked, a dying hunter rolls to defend as normal, but if they receive any additional wound damage, they die. Yeah. A dying hunter cannot be the target of an interrupt attack from the entity. Okay. Any other hunter can attempt to revive a dying hunter by performing a guard maneuver in their area. Doing so restores 1 resolve and heals 1 wound to the dying hunter instead of the standard effect. And the revive hunter can make actions as normal. A hunter can only be revived once per hunt. The second time they're reduced to 0 hit points, or 0 wounds, they die. Okay, that makes sense. Hunters don't get to stay dead. After dying in the Grisham Priory, they awaken in the Sanctum, so this is in the Quickstart scenario, with a fierce metaphysical headache and a grudge. In the core Hollows game, they awaken in their refuge, a base of operations which they can use as a home outside space and time, and which may be upgraded to contain many useful and interesting things. Hunters cannot return back to the fight under their own steam. They must pass through a door back into the Hollow. Ooh, I like that idea. The Hollow actively resists the creation of any such doors until the hunt is over, whether successful or otherwise, and opening doors increases the doom by 3. However, dead hunters can remain linked to the outcome of the hunt. If the entity is killed, any hunters who died during the fight gain the benefits of a baptism. Ah, yes, it talked about baptism abilities earlier. When you slay an entity, you anoint yourself with its blood, draining the energy out of the Hollow and into your body. Broken bones snap and set, torn wounds close, and blood runs back into the rift, and shattered teeth settle back into their sockets. All surviving hunters who killed an entity restore all resolve and wounds to their maximum values. What's more, the seed within them pulses and roars in response to fresh blood. Taking down an entity results in a burst of malignant power that takes up residence in the hunter's weapons, whether they are standing over its corpse or recovering in the refuge. Killing a vessel entity gives the hunters access to one of the weapon's abilities as listed on their character sheet for the rest of the Hollow they are currently in. Killing a Lord entity makes one of those advances permanent and closes the Hollow, curing the world around it. Ooh, okay, I like that idea that you can have like temporary level ups for your weapons, killing off the vassals, but you in order to keep them, or to keep one of them, you have to kill the Lord entity, the big boss essentially. Interesting. Insidious decay. For the purposes of the Quickstart, you won't be using rules for corruption. Suffice to say, the more times you die, the more likely you will blossom into a hollow yourself. Yes, I like that concept. Let me drink some water, shall we? Okay. When you kill a Lord, choose one of the weapon's abilities you've earned during the Hollow and make it permanent. The others are removed from your character as the parasitic reality is sutured. Sutured? I know what it is. It's like a wound closed, sutured shut. As this Quickstart only deals with a single Hollow, you won't need to worry about this, but it's worth knowing that this is the main way the hunter grows in power. So yes, the main way we level up. Foregone conclusions. You might get to a point in the fight where it seems as though the players can't possibly win, and it's no fun to continue slogging through it for either side. If this happens, the surviving players can elect to skip to the end or simply narrate their gruesome deaths. They all awake in the sanctum as normal. That's pretty good. Yeah, that they have to get to the end and die. There's no running away in Hollows. Reviving. When the hunters are revived in the sanctum, Varric is there to act as a helpful guide. Who the heck's Varric? Or goad and push them onwards. Have them offer the hunters cups of tea, sympathy, support, critique, and anything that you feel they would enjoy. These can be fun scenes between gruesome battles and a nice opportunity for character roleplay. Varric flatly refuses to come with them or offer combat support. They are far too scared of what they might become if they die again, and they have lost too many friends and colleagues to the corruption that sits at the heart of every hunter. When it's time for the hunters to get back in the fight, they use Varric's key to open the door back into the priory, costing them 2 doom in the process. They can be dumped right back at the start of the fight as soon as they leave the safety of the sanctum and the hunt begins again. Is Varric just a person, an NPC for the Quickstart, or is this a person that's part of your sanctum? How I imagine, like, there's Alpha for the Power Rangers. You know? Aye. Probably not great. Now that I think about it, saying that out loud. Has not aged well, perhaps. Okay. Evolving tactics. If all the player characters die during a hunt, you can offer them a chance to swap out some of their abilities and modify their tactics. They can replace any one ability with a different one from the same weapon using Varric's rudimentary forge to modify their kit, scavenge materials from the Hollow, and communicate directly with the malevolent intelligence caught within the steel. I like, again, sorry, trying to zoom out a little bit. I do like the colours here, although, again, it does. I know what I guess my issue with like I love sidebars. I'm a big fan of sidebars because I think they're very helpful. But then you do have like big spaces. I wish they'd use sidebars up more. Personally speaking, I know maybe they don't have stuff for everything. There's massive big space here, and there's a big space down here that could have an image in it. Now that is a cracking image. No alt text, of course, but oh, gorgeous though. Tag yourself. I want the hat, that's for sure. Alright, we're going to go on to the exploration rules. So that was all the combat rules. There's a lot to it. I think I understand it now. It is kind of similar a little bit to the resistance system. Kind of? Or at least from when I read Die, similar things there. Again, yeah, I definitely would have to play this through to get it really nailed down in my head. And I think I'd have to play it in person, thinking about it, to get there's no theatre of the mind here at all. So I've zoomed in a little bit too much, I think. Yeah, I have. When you're in a hollow, you're not in a fight against an entity. You're in the exploration stage of the game. Surrounding each entity in the hollow are blasted hinterlands of rotten unreality where people, places, and things have been absorbed from the real world and remade into an unsettling new forms. Navigating these areas isn't as dangerous as going toe-to-toe with giant monsters, but it has the potential to cause tremendous harm or misfortune. Or, if you're clever about it, give you an edge to defeating your enemies. Rolling during exploration. You only need to roll dice when you're interacting with a hazard, so an obstacle or danger, or a thrall, which is a person or creature. When you're asked to make a roll, first decide what stat is applicable to the task you're trying to achieve. So strong is destructive, athletic, and vicious. Hard is tough, resistant, grim, or intimidating. Quick is fast, decisive, sneaky, or deceitful. Sharp is keen-eyed, aware, and intelligent. And wise is intuitive, introspective, or mystical. Once you've chosen your stat, roll as described in the basic rules. Remember, if you act in accordance with your background during the exploration phase, you may be able to roll with advantage. It's up to you to decide how you should play out at the table, and it's up to the GM to decide how strict or permissive they want to be in allowing this. Okay. Alright, here we go. So hazards are dangers in which the hunters must overcome, bypass, or neutralize to gain access to a location or reward. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. All you need to say is must overcome to access a location or get the reward. You don't need bypass and neutralize. This is a common thing I've seen happen in a lot of academic essays as well, where they try and like expand over it, because like you can overcome by bypassing it or neutralizing. Like just pick one of those words. It just feels like I always think that you just keep it to like shorter sentences are better. That's just my personal thing on that. I'm like, oh, overcome, bypass, or neutralize. Well, one of those things will do, I think. I think it's obvious that, like, to overcome an obstacle, you can bypass it. To overcome an obstacle, you have to destroy it. Usually, only one hunter from the group must bypass the hazard in order to move forward. See, you could put the bypass here. Like, you can get overcome elsewhere. Hazards have two stats associated with them. We've got the target number, which we talked about before, the target number required to avoid damage entirely, and then the damage listed as X/Y versus stat. The number is the resolve damage, and the second is the wound damage. The function functions in the same way as entity attack damage. When you attempt to overcome a hazard, resolve as following. So yeah, here we go. So under your stat, and then under the target number or match to beat the target number. Sorry, yep. Hogan says, I've always said perfect writing gives the most information with the fewest possible words. Exactly that, Hogan. Again, I was never a teacher when I worked at the university. I would literally go through like content, and we would streamline content for an online audience. And the amount of times I had to send work back to academics, say, look, I know it feels like you've pulled this out of an academic paper, and that's great, but we're making it for people who are reading this in their spare time. Online learning. All right, I've got my soapbox now. I'm on the soapbox. Online learning is what's great about it is that you can do it from wherever you want. You could do it in the office. You can do it at school. You could do it at home. But in order for you to take in the language of that, or taking the knowledge, you need to make sure you're writing it, putting it together as a way that people can read it. So like the terrible example I always use is like the big boss. They go into all these big meetings. Financial boss. She will sit down in a meeting. She'll do all the jargon, etc. Blah 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 blah. When she's home, she's probably reading BuzzFeed or another magazine, something that's in simple, plain English language. So you should make content that is like that. Certainly, digital content has to be like that. Always write for your audience. Exactly that. You have to consider this. So again, it's just a little pet peeve of mine when I see when it's 3 different words when one word would do. Especially when we think like other books. Like again, I always keep going back to Call of Cthulhu, which I appreciate. I know I go on about, but the fact that in a Quickstart it doesn't talk about safety tools at all. But then you probably could. It doesn't take lots and lots of paragraphs to talk about it. It's just literally a paragraph or 2 and then links off to other things. And if they're like, oh yeah, we don't have the space for it with the word count, you've used up quite a bit of the word count with extra words. So anyway, off the soapbox. So the dice results. So yes, we had this thing again of like under the stat, and then under or match equal beat the target number, and then equal to the stat, over the stat, and then a natural 20 as well. Okay. I'm sort of getting this now, getting used to this sort of thing. Okay. Some hazards don't. Oh, I'm not sure you got it. Some hazards don't inflict wound damage and instead increase doom, written as 3/1 doom. If the hunter would have suffered wound damage when interacting with these hazards, increase the doom by the listed amount instead. 1 doom. I'm guessing it's 1 doom and then 3 wound damage, perhaps. Whenever I write anything, I go back over and trim the fat. Exactly that. Yes, always. It's always good to copy edit stuff, right? I always think the first draft is absolutely the hardest. I used to push my academics so hard on it, and then I always find it's a lot easier for somebody else to go back in. Like it's very easy for me to come in and be like, you should do this, because I know it's very, very hard to write your own stuff. So you always need someone else to look at your work, and ideally someone who has no experience of your work before, or has played any maybe role-playing games as well. Like, could my mother read this and understand? I say no, because it's quite a complex game. But you probably could understand like the setting bit of it, for example. The thralls. So thralls are creatures that must be fought, bargained with, or evaded, which might be encountered with. Thralls have 3 stats associated with them: the target number, the damage, and health, which is XY. So the first is resolve, and the second is wounds. When you interact with a thrall with the intent to harm it, roll as though you're attacking an entity using one of your core weapon attacks. Of course. Fixing things. So you can fix or neutralize a hazard instead of bypassing it. If you do so, roll as well, but with disadvantage. On any success, the hazard was removed from play. Fine. Yeah, again, that's fine. I don't mind that. Improvising problems. GM, as the GM talking to me. Sometimes a player will do something that requires you to come up with a challenge off the top of your head. In this case, feel free to adapt the adapt the hazards and thralls listed in the Grisham Priory Hollow and create your own, or just use them with the rules written and change the descriptions. Don't worry about balancing out damage or doom. To be fair, the hunters can take it. Compare the results of your target number of the thrall to the target and the stat required according to the attack column below. Oh lord. Once you've resolved your action, the thrall has a chance to retaliate. It makes an immediate attack against one of your stats with the damage listed in its profile. Roll to defend it. Oh my word. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, more again, I think this would be helpful having these tables. It makes it kind of clear. I think you need them on a separate sheet. That you need them as like quick reference stuff. So like, here is it in combat. Here is it in exploration. Here is it when versing a hazard. Here is it when versing a thrall. You know, because good lord, I'd have to be shifting back books. All these tables look very similar as well. It's not saying it doesn't. They're not labeled. They're not saying this is the thrall table. Like it's under the thralls here. But it's on a different page, for example. Always label your tables, friends. Non-violent solutions. So you don't have to kill everything you meet. Top tip. We're doing an Undertale thing here. You can usually talk, sneak, think, or lie your way out of a problem during exploration. If what you want to do is risky or time consuming but won't directly harm the thrall, treat it as a hazard with the same target number and damage but no health and roll as normal. Dying during exploration. So it is possible, but unlikely that a hunter will be reduced to 0. It will happen, I'm sure. Wounds during the exploration phase, in this case, they awaken in the sanctum or refuge as normal. Or maybe it's the refuge is like the generic one that you make, perhaps. And then relics. Relics resonate with power and often require hunters to bypass hazards or thralls to claim them. When you claim a relic during exploration, note down which hunter is carrying it. Each relic has unique effects which are listed in their descriptions. Ooh, so like cursed magic items. Nice, I like that. And then we've got some player tips on the final page before the scenario. So, player tips is describe your actions. What does it look like to your character does things? What does their weapon look like? How do they react to being hurt? Work with your GM to paint the world of Hollows. Read the rules. Make sure you know what weapon abilities do and how they interact with other players. This game is a lot more fun when you understand how all the pieces fit together and you can use them effectively. I'd also say, do feel free to ask clarifying questions. It's all very well reading the rules, but like we've spent an hour and a half doing this and I'm still like, ooh, like again, because I'm not used to it. Lean into your role. Hollows is designed so that not everyone can do everything, but there are many different combinations of weapons and powers that give the game a different flavor. If you're set up as a tank whose abilities all trigger when you're at the center of attention, then aim to do that as much as possible and have fun with it. In the core game, you can always change your setup later on. Take risks. It's only a game, and even if your character dies, they will get right back up again and start causing havoc. Do the exciting thing, trust your luck, and have a good time. And some game master tips. So we describe the world. Hollows are wretched places and entities are grisly nightmares, and it is up to you to paint the world as evocatively as possible. Mention what the hunters can see, smell, hear, touch, or taste in any given moment. If you can, stand up and stomp around to show the thunderous footsteps of the behemoth. Cower and shiver to portray a terrified ghoul. And always remember that the place itself is hostile and wants the hunters to die. I do like that. Again, I don't know how that would come across online, but maybe you would have some sound effects or something, or play something to be like, or change your voice modulators and stuff. When a player rolls dice, tell them what happens. Whenever a player makes an action in the game, more than anything, they want something to happen. Good or bad isn't really important. If they want to feel as though their actions have consequences, they want to feel as though their actions have consequences, so give them some. Absolutely. Really, yeah. Very much on that front. Balance the story with fighting. Whilst combat on Hollows is tightly mechanical and detailed, exploration is meant to allow as much more freeform play. The game should flow back and forth between periods of roleplay, exploration, and discovery, followed by massive epic boss fights where everyone needs to pay close attention to the rules. Spacing these out and manage them is your job as a GM. And it's important to pace these things so that your group finds a good balance that works for them. And then finally, go hard. Hollows is intended to be vicious, and the mechanics are meant for the player characters that can die, get back up, and come back for another go with better information. Be brutal and uncompromising. Choose the worst thing for the player's characters. Punish mistakes. If you pull your punches with the entities and your players understand their abilities, the game will be too easy. Don't give the players an inch in combat. Whoa, nice. And then there you go, the Grisham Priory is there. Look out. Ooh, I love this image. Oh, again, no alt text. Alright. Yes, I like the rules. Player actions matter and actions have consequences. Agree, Hogan. Yeah, it feels like, and we're not just rolling it for the sake of it. Because they want something to happen. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad, they want something to happen. I think honouring that is great. Alright, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to look through the Grisham Priory. What I'm going to do, I'm going to flick back and see if we can find a character sheet that we can look at and see the details of it. I think that'll be quite important because we've kind of looked at it outside of, without context to this. It would have been nice earlier on. Like we've had it before with some of these other quick starts where, going back up a little bit, where is it now? It was really early on, wasn't it? Yeah, the character sheet. Sometimes we have a character sheet next to it and it tells us, so this has done the breakdown for it, but we haven't actually seen an actual copy of it. So let's go and see if we can find a copy of it. I do like sort of almost like the ink stain, like sort of smoke stuff there. I do think it's quite nice. Oh, I see. I understand what they've done now. If I do the 2-page spread. So now, yeah, there you go. You can actually see it a little bit better there. Yeah, I tend to do it 1 page just so it's easier for me to read, but yeah, so I can imagine like this page, page 20, it covers up and it goes into this image here, which is quite cool, isn't it? All right, let's have a quick look through. See, and this works actually quite well. I realise now that the sidebars, that's quite nice, that. And you can see there's not as much gap, there's not much space on this side, and there's space down here at the bottom of this. Oh, you can't see my, you never see my, can you see? No, you can't. Oh, no. There you go, there's my mouse there. There's like massive gaps in places. That's it. Yeah. Ooh, look at this layout. How great is this? Ooh. I do like it. It's almost like Creative Commons, these images and stuff. Put together like the map sort of area. Oh, the colours look great. Again, bit of a bugger to print out. Would be nice to have it as a plain text or something. Look at this. No image of the creature. Whoops, I lied. It's there. These are terrifying. Look at these creatures. Oh, that's a tailor. So that was the one that was used before. And it could use something to pull, like push things through it, and that's where you'd get stuff. Look at that. I like that with the like where it puts the stuff on it. It just might be a bit difficult to read because you've got it all here for the Guardian Hound, but then here it's all over. Like, what's the wounds? Like the wounds unresolved, the health stuff is there, but then kind of put around very artistically in this image here. But again, no. Yeah, wait. That's a good. Oh wait, can we? Oh, it is. Oh, that is screen readable. The text around it. How interesting. I was gonna say if it's an art image, then we wouldn't be able to read it. Oh my god, the vicar. There's a man trapped in there. And the bishop. There you go. Whoa, terrifying. Whoa. Some great, so yeah, really nice, well put together like colours here, and I love the font and everything. It looks really good, but again, I always am a bit curious. I'm always a bit like worried about like when it's a lot of ink, a lot of colours, stuff like that. There's always should be a plain text version as well. Ah, here we go. So here is the Quickstart. Let's go to the preset. Oh, these are not form fillable, but I think you can get these form fillable elsewhere. I'm gonna move it to just one sheet so we can have a quick look. Ooh, and I've zoomed in way too much. So here at the top we've got who we are, a bit of info. There's the background there of the swineherd. Play this priest, that's tiny, right? Play this priest if you want to heal and support other hunters, blow holes in things with your shotgun, have a religious connection with the hollow. Then we've got our... Maybe we can... No. Oh, I've just made a weird edit there. I don't know if I'm supposed to do that. Go back, perhaps. All right. So those are the abilities at the top. Then we've got our 2 books. We've got the shotgun and we've got the book. And then we've got some abilities here. So choose one at the start of the game, and then we can unlock them, I think, when we kill the vassals, and then we can lock one of those in, and they're permanent as well. So let's see what it says about the book. So it says here, the book is a well-loved book of prayers, wise, aphorisms, veterinary advice, and ideal planting times. It seems as though each time you open it, you always put your finger just on the right verse. Attack with wise versus weird, from close or range. What's weird? That's not good at all. I guess weird must be something in the entity, right? And the form is sacred 1/1, so when you guard an ally, it restores 1 resolve. Okay, so 1/1 wounds. The shotgun, a short-barreled antique with a fat pig scrimshawed into the stock. It wants you to destroy any problem you face with incredible violence, and some days you can't help but give in. Attack with sharp from range or close. It's a sawn off, so 2/2. Roll with advantage when attacking from close. I would say, like, again, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 book abilities, and we've got 6 also shotgun abilities. It would be nice if they were just a slightly separate out. There's again quite a lot of information put in here as well. So witness here. Watch closely. You've exposed a weakness. Once per round, when you miss it with an attack, you may focus again as an immediate reaction. Oh, that's pretty good. That's quite good. Remake. Speak to their bones back into their ordained form. So mark 1 wound to activate this ability as a maneuver. Roll wise. On any successes, an ally in the area heals 3 wounds. And on any failure, an ally in the area heals 1 wound. So they always heal something. If this action is performed in support, if this action is performed in the support, roll with advantage. Okay, interesting. I'm just looking at the shotgun abilities. We've got frantic, which is kill it now. The first time each turn you miss with an attack, you must take 1 resolve damage. The entity takes 2 more resolve damage. Okay, so yeah, I guess it's like hurting you to hurt the creature as well. And then hungry is more. I like how, yeah, you've got really different personalities between the different weapons here. That's quite fun. At the end of your turn, if your shotgun is empty, you must suffer 1 resolve damage and make an immediate reload action. Oh, all right. And then we've got, here we go. I'm guessing this is going to be the same for every character it's going to come across with the reference thing. So this is perfect. It's exactly what I was asking for before, was like having some sort of reference sheet. And here, yeah, so there you go. There's a dice table here. So for attack, defend, and explore, here's examples of it. Perfect. That's exactly what I needed. Oh, there's a little bit of gaps there at the bottom there. And then you got maneuvers as well. Great. Yeah, it's a bit busy. I will say it's a little bit busy, but for what I would need it for a quick start, I think it does the job. But yeah, you might need to maybe just if there was anything particular people would want to focus on, like the maneuvers, I might just point that out to as a GM. And then we've got soldier. Oh, it says soldier, the agent, the noble, and the experiment. Ooh. And then the GM's cheat sheet, again, would definitely have that out. Oh, and you have these images. Oh, I guess it talked about it before, about bringing them out as like tokens and stuff, right? Here we go. So examples of tokens have cut it out. And then we've got the terrain stuff here. Unready. Oh, those are things specifically for weapons, I think. There you go. So we've got some items down there. We got 2. Yes, you can have 2 of them. Yeah, and then there you go. That's it. All right. Okay. So let's go back and what do we think, folks? I think overall it's different. Again, I said from the outset, I'm not a big Soulbound, Elden Ring fan myself. I'm not a big fan of like grinding and then getting crushed to the ground by various big things. I also feel like those big bosses cheat as well. I love the aesthetic though. I love the artwork. I think is good. Does it have credit the people who did the art? Illustrations, there we go. Fantastic. So I do like that. Again, we're going to do merch. I'd love some posters or postcards. I think the system as well, it is something that is familiar with. I think I've done it something similar in Die. So I do recognize it a little bit. But again, trying to explain it to people, I think Quickstart does it goes in quite deep detail, but I think I don't know, it feels a bit sticky. It would be nice to have more examples of it earlier on, like we talked about that dice example. Let's see if we can find it. No, where is it now? This roll example. We're on page 14, but we've already talked about stuff before. That example should have been used much earlier to describe like any sort of things. And then that final, where is it? I'm racing through here. Yeah, this table here, this should have been much earlier, because this is a really good table. It shows you exactly what it means, because and have that play example. I think those are definitely needed for something like this. I feel like there's a lot of design has gone into this scenario. I know we didn't cover it at all, and it looks brilliant. It looks beautiful. But then you come back to the sort of like the play example here. Good grief, it's so busy, and it's not been. I feel like it could have been better formatted. It's okay. The bit we read, I think, was all right, but yeah, a little bit there's a lots of text, like heavy stuff, and certainly the where is it? Right at the beginning. Where is it? Like the move and shift. Like here, it's talking about shift and then reposition. Like it's just a big block here. And you can tell it's talking about 3 different things here, which are quite important to combat. So again, I would split it up a little bit, maybe have a bit more of a gap between it or make it really highlighted. The terrain tags, again, maybe it would have been good to have an example of what these are, because there's clearly different terrain tags depending on the entity that comes in. But like for me, tags means a different thing. Like I've played City of Myths and stuff like that, and it's like you burn that to have advantage or something like that. And they clearly do stuff like, yeah, give advantage to range attacks, etc. Maybe I would even put that if, I don't know, if I had tokens, like if it was doing physical components, maybe I'd have it says attack with advantage on the back or something. There's a lot of components to it, like the idea of threat, corruption, which is not even covered in this game. There's a lot of like moving pieces, which I think it's just a lot. And again, for me personally, I'm intrigued by it. I personally don't know if I don't know if I would want to run this game. I definitely would like to play in a game to understand how it all works together, but I don't think this game is necessary for me. But that said, I know that, as I said at the beginning, they are doing some play tests or run through with the actual core team of Rowan and Picard. So maybe we should check one of those out to actually see how they play it through. I like the concept of sentient weapons and cursed items as well. I like the lore of this place. I think that's very intriguing. And Hollows, because we can really delve in deep with that narrative storytelling. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, an interesting one. I'm glad I looked at it because I know people were getting very, very excited about it. And you know what? It's nice to have RPGs, it's nice to have a different RPG that is combat heavy. Again, I said I'm not the biggest combat person in the world. This is definitely going to be a game for min-maxers and really customizing how much you can do stuff. And I think that's great. If that's something that you really, really enjoy, kudos. And like, it'll be interesting to see that. But that's not my idea of a Friday night, unfortunately. So, not for me, I think. But you know what? You get a lot for this Quickstart, and the fact you can get a not Roll20, tabletop sim version for this Quickstart, and a mod you can use. That's pretty good. Not many Quickstarts do that. So go check it out. Go try and grab a copy that's for free, and also go, if you're interested, go back on the kits, the backer kit even. Thank you so much, people, for joining me. I appreciate you spending your Friday evenings with me. I'll quickly go back. I'm gonna have to head off because I've got hopefully recording, although there's been lots of messages and I don't know what's happening. So if you are interested in seeing these more, check out What Am I Rolling, which is a twice-monthly tabletop RPG one-shot podcast. As also, it's going very, very well. We do lots of RPGs, mostly, but we've also been doing lots of investigations, in interviews with game designers as well. A long time ago, we did interview the Rowan Rook and Descartes team, so you can go check out that. That was well before anything like Reich or anything like that. I think it was in the middle of a pandemic, and that was really good fun. I really enjoyed speaking to them about that. If you're interested in the DM's Book Club, which is the other podcast I do, go check that out. A weekly D&D podcast where we talk about some Dungeons and Dragons and discuss how we might include it in our role-playing campaigns. We read the books, so you don't have to. And that's it for now. I'm going to quickly check. Oh lord. Stuff is happening, but I will get there shortly. We have, just checking things. Next week we've got 3 currently. We've got Land of Eam, we've got Solitaire, and we've got the D Sanctum. That's our 3 tabletop RPG read-throughs that we're going to do through next week. That's going to be Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time, 5 p.m. BST. So come and check those out. And that's it. I've got to dash off. I can see I've got to go do something, which is exciting. But have a wonderful rest of your evening. Enjoy. If you've got any games of the weekend, let me know. Oh, finally, I should always say, just in case people are interested, we do have a Discord. A Discord where you can come and chat to us and talk to us about RPGs and suggestions for tabletop RPG streams, like the read-along streams. I very much appreciate it. And yeah, that's that. All right, my loves, I will see you at another time. I'm going to find the end button stream. Thank you so much for joining us this week. I really much appreciate it. And yeah, I'll see you back on Tuesday for Land of Eam. Bye!